Hey guys, before I start the podcast, a quick introduction. My name is Warnith and I'm the founder of Pet Excel Marketing. Pet Excel Marketing is a marketing agency that specifically works with pet businesses. Over the years, we have worked with pet food brand, pet relocation businesses, pet SaaS companies, pet clothing brand, cat food businesses, dog grooming services, and many other product and service-based pet businesses globally. Our services includes everything from creating graphics to running your ad campaign. Not only that, we have built amazing websites and apps for pet businesses. So if you have a pet business and would like us to help grow it, click on the first link in the description to book a call with our team. Now enjoy the podcast. Hey guys, welcome back to Pet Brand Podcast, the go-to show for pet industry entrepreneurs, innovator, and experts. I'm your host Varnit, and every episode we dive into the stories behind the most exciting pet brands, uncovering their journey, challenges, and insight into the ever-evolving pet care industry. Today we have a truly special guest, someone who has redefined the world of pet grooming and care. From background in the beauty industry to building a standout pet brand, she's transformed the way we pet differently. Joining us is Sally Facinelli, the visionary behind Salty Dawg Pet Salon plus Bakery. With a unique approach that combines top tier grooming, high quality pet treats, and a thriving franchise model, Salty Dawg is setting new standards in the industry. So, whether you're a pet parent, entrepreneur, or just someone who loves hearing inspiring business journeys, you don't want to miss this conversation. Let's get started. Sally, thank you so much for being on this podcast.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to talk with you.
Great, great, great. So yeah, let's get started from the beginning. Like many great businesses are born out of a personal need or like a realization that something is missing in the market, right? So like what was that moment for you and like how did that idea for Salty Dog came to life?
Yeah, so that's a fun story. It's actually I'm a founder adjacent. I'm not the actual founder of Salty Dog,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the story began when the founder and his wife took their dog to get groomed. They
Mm-hmm.
are actually from the hair industry. They both are multi-unit franchisees with Paul Mitchell, the schools. They took their dog to get groomed. The dog came back with a bad haircut and stressed out. They were like, "What is with this?" Our dog came back very salty. Whoops, wrong side, just salty.
Yeah.
And so they decided to redesign and how it works with dogs and getting their hair cut. One
Mm-hmm.
is they didn't want their dog to be stressed out, and two, of course, they want a good haircut. And so that started the entire process to building Salty Dog.
Amazing, amazing. And also like shifting from the beauty industry to the pet care space is like a bold move, right? While there are some similarities in grooming and styling, animals bring a whole new level of complexity. So like what were the biggest hurdle you had to overcome during this transition?
The biggest hurdle, it's redefining the entire industry of pets would be the biggest
Mhm.
hurdle. The pet parents, they want the humanization of pets. They want a
Yeah,
happy
yeah.
pet.
Mm-hmm.
They want a healthy pet. They want their animals to come home looking good and well taken care of because a pet is not just a pet anymore. It's a
Yeah,
family member.
yeah, yeah. It's a
And so
baby.
what I've done is, yeah, taken the entire thing and like, let's humanize
Mm,
how we're dealing with pets, everything from their hair care,
mm,
including Paul Mitchell products, all the way down to, of course, what they eat. So everything that we do in our salons is all about humanization. So our food is all people grade, human grade. You could eat it if you want to. CBD products, those are all human grade, and you can take them if you need to. Those sorts of things. But just
definitely.
changing people's mindset, I would say, is probably the hardest thing.
Yeah, yeah. And also like grooming can be stressful experience for pets, especially those who are nervous or have had like bad experience elsewhere, right? Like what steps do your company take to make sure each pet feels safe and comfortable?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, in a typical salon, the pet parent will drop off their dog. They'll come back and pick up their dog, and the dog will be stressed out, and I have no idea why. Well, in
Yeah.
our salon, a pet parent walks in on the right-hand side. It's all glass. You can see what's happening with your pet at all times
Yeah.
in the grooming process.
Mhm.
And on the left-hand side is where the boutique, the retail, and the bakery items are, and they check in with a concierge who takes their dog back, make sure the dog is ready to be groomed. Some dogs are too stressed out, and we send them home. We're like, we're not going to complicate the situation and make it worse. And then
Mhm.
what happens is they take the dog back. The dog can see the pet parent as well and say, "Hey, I'm safe. I'm doing okay. My mom is right there.
Yeah.
Everything's fine. We don't hold down the dogs, to get them done quicker, which is a
Mm,
very common practice. Just people don't talk about it, but we
mm,
don't do it. And they
mm,
get like little treats and stuff like that. So when they go to the bathing station, we give them a little treat. So the next time they come in, they're
mm,
actually excited and they run to the back. They know they're going to get treated well, get little treats and go home and, not be manhandled.
mm. Yeah, amazing, amazing. And also like the pet grooming industry is highly competitive, right? So like with countless salons like offering similar services. So what do you think what makes Salty Dog truly stand out in terms of experience, service, and like the overall philosophy?
Well, our overall philosophy, again, is to focus on the humanization of the pets and making it a good pet experience and pet parent experience.
Mhm.
But one of our biggest differentiators are we are exclusively working on our dogs with Paul Mitchell hair products that were actually created for humans first and then created for dogs. It doesn't have any of the extra additives or any of the stuff that most products
Wow.
have. So it's all very clean products. And they
Mhm.
get little facials and things like that. When they come in, they get a little blueberry facial.
Wow.
Um, as part of the process. So it's kind of
Uh-huh.
cute. But literally everything we do is created for humans first and then put on, which is the reverse of what most people are doing. They usually test it on animals and then do it for humans, where we test on humans first. And
Yeah.
also our hairstylists from Paul Mitchell the schools actually can be trained to become dog groomers, which
Wow.
is amazing. So
Mhm.
they've gone to Paul Mitchell the schools to learn how to work with human hair and all the different types of hair and textures and the
Mhm.
tools. And they
Mhm.
can easily be trained to be a dog groomer if that's what they want, which often they don't want to have to deal with people.
Mhm.
The sitting with me for 2 hours doing my hair, having to have a conversation is very different than getting to deal with a cute little dog, and doing their
Yeah.
hair.
Definitely. And like as a growing brand, like maintaining consistency across different locations is crucial, right? So like what steps or systems or training do you have in place to ensure that every pet receives the same high quality of service in different locations?
So, because we're a franchise company,
Hmm.
we have everything pretty much mandated through our initial agreement. So they have to follow our process. We've got this great thing called a Salty Hub, and it's
Okay.
everything that happens once you sign a franchise agreement and become a franchisee.
Mm,
All of our brand marketing guidelines, any kind of branding, all of the things, the concierge training, groomer
mm,
training,
mm,
anything
mm.
that has to do with our brand is through there, and they access everything. They have the trainings through there. We do training in person and stuff like that too to, help them
Okay.
along.
Mm,
But continuous training is on there. Um, Accessing anything that they'll be using for promotional materials, that's all done and created for them and kept on the system.
wow.
Ordering the retail products, we want that to be standardized nationwide. So that's all done through our Salty Hub with a list of items that they can choose from. So there is some ability to have customization per their location. So if they're in one country versus another or a state versus another, they might have different country flags or,
Mm,
things that they want in
mm,
their store that are slightly different but approved.
mm. Love it, love it, love it. And like also like a pet grooming salon with a bakery is a unique combination that you have. So like what made you decide to offer freshly baked treats alongside like grooming services?
Well, I mean, the dogs kind of like them, so that's important. And the parents feel guilty when they bring in their dog because they're usually coming home stressed. So the pet parents are always wanting to give them some sort of treat. And, dogs, they deserve to get a treat just like we do. It was a natural add-on as we were just giving out fresh treats and things like that anyways. We don't cook them in our locations. They are shipped in. So that's not something a franchisee actually needs to do, but it's a natural thing. So somebody might say, hey, my dog's having a birthday. They can actually buy a little cake or a little cupcake that
Mm.
is human grade, but doggy flavored, and they
Yeah.
can give it to the dogs. It's got great markups as far for the franchisees and earning more revenue. So it's got a
Mhm.
huge markup for them. And then it's just an easy buy for the customer when they come in to get their dog.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Talking more about the franchise model and growth. So like growing a business comes with many choices, like scaling through corporate expansion or franchising. So like, what made you decide that franchising was like the right choice, right path for Salty Dog?
It's another great question. So I've been in franchising nearly 30 years. So I just
Wow.
love the model of being able to help people, have their own businesses, be in business for themselves, but with those guardrails and, the tried and true system of franchising and of each brand.
Hmm.
Salty Dog was actually built to be a franchise. It was built by everybody in the background, all of the founders and things like that. We all have a ton of background in franchising, whether it's from the franchisee perspective or the franchisor or supplier. So we built it to be that way. It's, doing our own corporate locations is great, but it's hard for me to manage not me personally, but my team to manage a corporate location across the country or across
Hmm.
the world when I
Hmm.
can have franchisees that do it. And then a franchisee in their local market, they get involved in their local market, whether it's through charities
Yeah.
or different organizations. Getting involved in their local market is really important. And for them, they can do that. For me, at a corporate level, it's a lot more difficult to do that efficiently and
Hmm.
effectively.
Hmm. And if somebody is listening to the podcast, like for business owner considering franchising their own pet brand, like what do you think, like what are some key lessons you have learned that could help them succeed?
If they're looking to franchise their company,
Yeah, their own company. Yeah.
well, I would tell them they need to do their research and find out to see if franchising is right for them because it's not easy. Your first 5 years are tough. There's a lot that happens in the first 5 years, especially if you're new to it.
Hmm.
I would say they need to go to other franchise shows, talk to other franchisors, and really understand what it's going to take to be a good franchisor. Because that's one of the biggest problems is being a responsible franchisor, making sure to help support your franchisees, giving
Yeah,
them
yeah.
the tools that they need and all of that.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Also, like a strong brand isn't just about profit, like it's also about impact. So, like, how does
Exactly.
Salty Dog contribute to local communities and make a difference beyond pet grooming?
Yeah, beyond, no, we want to be involved even beyond pets in the local community because there's so
Mhm.
many ways that you can do this. So, one of my franchisees is all about creating jobs within their local community.
Wow.
That seems obvious, right? But
Hmm.
that is an impact that will impact that local community, creating a job, giving
Hmm.
jobs to people that maybe would not necessarily have been able to get that job, being able to train those people, getting involved with charities, local organizations. It could be a brewery festival. It doesn't have to be just pets, but pets are obviously important and we want to focus on that, like
Yeah.
humane societies, things like that. For us, it's all about working with our communities, and the franchisees are highly encouraged to get very, very involved in their local community in
Hmm.
whatever passionate way they want, in addition to pets.
Hmm. Love it. Love it. Talking more about the pet care industry inside as a whole, the whole industry, the pet industry is constantly evolving, right? Like, what are some key trends you are seeing that will shape the way pet grooming and care looking like the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, I would say there's two big ones. One, and I'll probably beat this a lot, is the humanization of pets. That is number one
Yeah, yeah,
right
definitely.
now.
Yeah.
Everything you're doing,
Mm,
just treating the pet more humanely or
mm.
more like a human, more like a family member.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then two, which goes along with this, is the quality of all the products. So, the human grade products, things like that. I think that's fresh food, that's a big one. Most people feed their dogs or cats or whatever kibble and different, the hard food,
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
has a lot of fillers. And
yeah,
then their dogs' health goes downhill and they wonder why their dogs die
definitely.
sooner.
Mm,
And so now there's the fresh food market is really important,
mm,
which is really frozen. It's
mm,
frozen food,
mm.
thawed.
And I think the
Um,
customer is also not like more aware these days. Like they are more aware of what's going on in the ball of my dog.
yeah, they are. Well, because it's
Mhm.
like their baby. It's like a
Yeah.
human.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, definitely. And talking specifically about the pet care industry again, like if somebody is considering a career in pet grooming or opening their own pet business, like what one piece of advice you wish you had when you started?
I would have connected with other master, specifically to pet grooming. I would connect to master groomers and get their perspective,
Mm,
um, and try to find out, what has worked for them, what has not worked for them, just
mm,
from their perspective, and then also from, shop owners' perspective. So all the perspectives, and then create a model based on that.
mhm,
You can circumvent a lot of problems just by talking to people that have already done it and have already experienced those things.
mhm. Love it, love it. talking more about the pet parents, like many pet owners might not know the best grooming practices for their pets, right? Like, how does Salty Dog help inform and like empower pet parents?
So we've started to create a newsletter that goes out to the pet parents and talks about the
Wow.
different things you need to do for pets. One of
Mhm.
which there's this huge thing at least the United States and in certain states more than others. There's all these doodles, the mix with the poodle, right? The doodles
Yeah.
and they actually have things that need to have done for that specific dog as far as hair care and other things that are
Mhm.
very important that pet parents don't know when they buy the dog. So what we
Yeah.
do is we try to train and inform them in advance, or if
Mm.
they bought the dog, at least keep them before the problems start to happen. So we try to work with them and like best practices, hair care, best practices as far as food and nutrition and those sorts of things. New products like you can test your dog like hair and find out if they're like sensitive or allergic to things, and that could radically change their health and their
Wow.
health care. Those
Mhm.
types of things we put out.
Mhm. Love it. Also, like customer feedback is invaluable for any business, right? Like, what are some of the most common things pet parents love about Salty Dog? Like, are there any surprising requests you have received throughout your career?
Well, surprising requests. We have requests to make dogs look like zebras and polka dots. So that's interesting. And
Yeah,
and
yeah,
getting
yeah.
their nails painted and all. I was like, yeah, that's interesting. But one of
Uh-huh.
the things our pet parents actually really enjoy is the concierge that we have. So
Mhm.
what happens is they bring their dog in, they check in, and then they think they're going to go away for a couple hours and come back and get their dog. That's what they think is going to happen. Well, that's not what happens. So we take our dog in, go
Mhm.
back in the bath station, they're getting a bath, our groomers take a picture, send it to the pet parent, and say, "Hey, Fido's getting a bath right now. Isn't he cute?" They go to the next station, take a picture, especially if there's a problem like matting, we have to shave hair or something. But we're constantly interacting with the pet parent. So now they understand what's happening with their dog at all times. They're not nervous. We inform them when the dog is about to be ready so they can come pick it up and it doesn't have to stay in a crate, those types of things. So it's
Yeah.
that interaction that we don't tell them in advance and they get it and they're like,
Yeah.
whoa, this is kind of cool. So.
Amazing. Talking more about the future vision for your company, like Salty Dog has already made a huge impact, right? But like, what's next? Like, where do you see the brand in the next 5 to, let's say, 10 years?
Well, I'd like to have approximately 1,000 locations in the
Wow.
US and be in
Hmm.
5 other countries minimum.
Uh-huh. So, like,
We want to grow very quickly.
are you still like currently in other countries, or like, is it going to be a future plan?
It's a future plan right now. We got to tackle the US
Uh-huh.
first and foremost, which we are doing right now. And then in a couple of years, we'll be expanding. We have had interest for some other countries right now.
Hmm.
But I don't want to do that until, we've got one thing moving along smoothly and then we
Yeah.
can replicate it more
Uh-huh.
easily
Uh-huh.
worldwide.
Uh-huh. Great. Amazing. Amazing. Sally, this has been an incredible conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your journey, insights, and passion for pets with us.
Yeah, no problem. Pleasure.
Great. Great. And it's like it's inspiring to see how Salty Dog Pet Salon Plus Bakery is redefining pet care and making a real difference in the industry. And to all our listeners, thank you for tuning in for Pet Brand Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your fellow pet lovers. We'll be back soon with more amazing stories and expert insight for pet industry. Until next time, take care and pet differently. Yep. Great. That's it. That's
Bye.
the end of the podcast.